coming to First after some significant church hurt has actually just been refreshing. FCC has given us a place to sit and to be fed.
We needed that time to land somewhere and be cared for and to just be fed for a good minute. We got years of just that, and it was beautiful to have a church that was just taking care of us when we were so used to just emptying our cups for the church and for people. And then there was that moment where God's like, okay, I can remember specific days where God was like, you're forgiving them for that, and it's time to move on from that. And the release that I had, that God was able to speak to me and let that go wholesale and repair us, repair relationships with others that I was borderline worried would not ever be healed, were fixed. When I think about how this church is as much about Sunday afternoon through Saturday as much as it is about Sunday morning, that comes from a passion for Jesus and what Jesus is about. And I think that same word then bleeds over, right? That there's such a passion for the people of Decatur. There's such a passion for meeting needs that we have the ability to meet, especially with what comes with having a congregation this size and some of those resources. The good stewardship of what we've been given all comes from the fact that this church has their eyes focused passionately on Jesus and what he's actually about.
Everything I have, none of it's mine. I have the house that I have the car that I have the husband that I have the children that I have because of God. And there's nothing that I have done to deserve that. And so knowing that I have those things, it's so humbling. But then it also reminds me that I gotta give it all. Like, I've gotta give it all to him because it's all his to begin with.
The first thing you have to realize is just how generous God has already been to you. We've had points in our life where we didn't have as much, or maybe things weren't as easy. Things sure were crazy with 3 little babies all at the same time in the middle of COVID. In those moments, you have to really stop yourself and realize that you've already been given so much. And if that doesn't relay into a spirit of wanting to be generous with your time, talent, and treasures in return, I think you're missing something about who Jesus is.
When I hear whatever it takes, I think of radicalness. Whatever it takes, whatever the mission is, whatever you've been called to do, it's not going to look like the book says it's gonna look. Stepping outside of that box, stepping outside of what you've always thought was, and jumping into something that is a lot bigger and a lot better than what you've ever imagined. It's gonna be hard, but it's gonna be worth it.
I hear say yes. I mean, truthfully, whatever it takes means whatever it takes. And that means saying yes to God. That means saying yes to God with my finances. It means saying yes to God with my time and my efforts. And whatever it takes, whether it's at this church or elsewhere, means I'm not here to be served as much as I'm here to serve. I think what excites me about the future at First is that this church has bought into being comfortable with change, because that means there's room for God to tell you what to do, and you get to do it. I know that we have a place to serve and be served today, and I know that there's going to be even more ways to serve and be served in the future.
I look at the insane amount of children in this church. In 10, 15 years, when these little ones have grown up, and the things that they will think of and the things that they will come up with to reach the city of Decatur. That's what excites me, is this is clearly not a dying church. This is a growing, living, thriving church. And it's exciting for me to see how they're going to come up with ways to serve God, and how they're going to reach out to this city and reach out to the least of these and make moves for the kingdom.